What's up, leaders? Scott Mathie here from Nix Your Limits, and I am so excited to bring to you this next episode of the Student Leadership Podcast, where I got a chance to sit down and interview Lucas Lunzmann. Lucas is the 2020-2021 State FBLA President for the state of Nebraska. An incredible organization, FBLA, the Future Business Leaders of America, and Lucas, as a rising junior, is going to serve as the state president. And I specifically mention that because it's not always typical to have a rising junior serve as the state president. Sometimes on the officer team, a rising junior will be in that position, on other positions, but not very common as a state president. And so it says a lot about him, about the trust that he gained in his organization, and the leadership capacity that he has. And another cool thing about Lucas is he is starting his journey. He is the epitome of how I say success loves speed, because he has already gotten started on his own leadership journey, wanting to share leadership lessons with other teens, with other great student leaders, by starting his own movement. And so he runs the Teen Leader podcast. He's a host there. I actually was interviewed. I was his first guest on his podcast. And so please definitely go check that out after you listen to this episode with Lucas Lunzmann. You're going to learn a lot. I definitely learned a lot. And so let's get into the episode. What's up, leaders? Scott Mathie here, back at it again with the Student Leadership Podcast. And today I am here with Lucas Lunzmann. Lucas, I am super excited to hear about your leadership journey and how you've been able to nix some limits. But how are you feeling? How are you doing, man?
Great, Scott. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm so excited to dive deeper into Nix Your Limits and kind of see what we uncover.
Awesome, man. You and I the same. Well, we hope everybody out there is doing well and just still focused on taking your game to the next level. There's still plenty of opportunities for that. 2020 is not over yet. And so we got some good things to help happen. But hey, Lucas, give us the quick facts. I gave a little bit of a preview in our intro, but kind of summarize for us, like what's been a little bit your leadership journey and how are you trying to nix your limits in your life?
Yeah, so growing up, I was a athlete. That was my whole life. That's kind of what I focused on. Going into freshman year, 3-sport athlete. Unfortunately, suffered a back injury, took me out of everything. So I kind of had to change my focus on life and what I was really passionate about. And that came from Future Business Leaders of America, FBLA. It's our business CTSO at our school. And that's where I kind of fell in love with leadership. And it all started with a chapter officer position. I was elected VP at our school, and that was the coolest experience ever. Just little freshman Lucas getting to serve that leadership role. I thought that was such a big deal, and that kind of lit that fire to pursue bigger and better opportunities to impact more people. So fast forward to the next year, sophomore year, I'm serving as our VP for FBLA, and I start serving on committees and different groups within the organization. And eventually I decide I want to take it to the next level. So I applied to run for state president for Nebraska FBLA. And just a few months ago, I got elected to that position, which I am forever grateful for. And I can't wait to see what happens because of that. And that's kind of been like the pinnacle of my leadership experience and journey this far. And I can't thank everyone enough along that way. Just so many mentors that have really helped.
Awesome. Very cool, man. And I know I could say, if you don't know what it takes to do everything that Lucas is saying that he's done, it takes a lot. And so it says a lot about him. It says a lot about you, man, of the work that you've had to put in, the way that you've had to lean in, and some limits you've probably had to nix along the way. So that's awesome, man. I can't wait to hear a little bit more. But tell us a little bit about, so first, to be able to achieve that, to focus on wanting to do that, like I want to know a lot more about your mindset. Like what would you say your mindset is? What do you have to keep telling yourself to kind of push to get these opportunities? Because people probably say like, oh, don't be like you can worry about being state president next year. Like that's something you do when you're a senior, not just to come in as a junior, like stuff like that. Tell me about your mindset. What have you had to keep telling yourself, reminding yourself, focusing on so you can still achieve everything you've achieved?
I've always been an ultra competitive person, and not just with other people. I'm an ultra competitive person with myself. And I feel like that kind of defines my mindset going through life. I set goals against myself. I'm always trying to outdo myself from the previous version. And like you said, hey, I was told so many times, don't run for president this year, run for VP, run for treasurer, run for something else that's a little lower so you don't get hurt when you fail. And I just had the mindset going in, I'd rather go big or go home. I'd rather impact the most people than say I didn't even try that way. So always setting goals up against yourself and having the highest standard possible for yourself has been the biggest part of my life. With grades, always do the extra. Always do the extra credit, extra project, extra time. It matters. Teachers will notice, your friends will notice. Everyone will notice the extra work you put in, whether that's on the field practicing late or early in the morning. That's school, studying up for tests, organizations, volunteering more than anyone else. Always trying to be the top of those lists, even if no one sees those lists, or if they don't give you that recognition of, hey, you're doing a great job. You know on the inside that you're doing a great job and you're doing the best you possibly can. So that's kind of what's guided me throughout my whole life, not just in FBLA, but in everything. Just knowing that you need to be better every single day if you want to achieve where you're going in life. And looking to the future is something, it can be a negative at some points because you need to stay present and focus on what you're doing right now. But I'm always one to look to the future and set goals and set dreams and aspirations that I can look forward to. And I say that's a really big technique that I kind of picked up along this way is setting those goals, setting those big dreams that are far down the road, that those little actions that you do day to day, they will build up for you to achieve that dream. So that's kind of how I go about life.
Awesome, man. There's a lot of gold nuggets there. But just that attitude of like, you know what, I'm going to continue to grow, right? Beating the former version of myself. I like to say beat yesterday's best, right? Keep pushing and doing that. And I, that you know, hearing you say that, but also like do the extra, like extra credit, volunteering, leaning in. That is huge. I can just echo that what Lucas is saying to all of us listening out there. They like do the extra. I promise there's more that you can do. And so what can be those things? When your teacher knows who you are always going to be set up in a better spot for them to turn around and help you when you need it. I can say that like I'm a college professor. I teach a leadership class, and I can tell you the students that I know, when they come at me with like a, hey, you know, this assignment didn't turn out the way I thought it would. Here's the situation. Is there an opportunity for me to get some extra credit, or like, can I, you know, work through it again or whatever? I'm always so much more willing to work with students that I know because they participate in class. They, you know, they do the extra compared to the people that I don't know at all. And all of a sudden they come at me like, hey, can I get some extra credit? I'm like, I don't even know who you are. You don't even come to class. Like, no. And so there's a lot to be said with that of doing the extra. And I really like that. I appreciate that mindset. But there's, you know, something I talk about is how can you translate your motivation to action, and it has to be repeated. And so the action of habits, right? So like, tell me what are the habits of Lucas? Like, what have you had to repeatedly do to help yourself achieve the success that you've had?
I had a coach, a basketball coach. He called it get ahead time. That's where you put in the work when others aren't going to be putting in the work. So I'm not going to put it away to early morning people or late night people, because that's up to you. I'm an early morning person. I'm waking up early. I don't care what day it is, weekends, doesn't matter. I'm waking up early. I'm usually getting an exercise, and that is one of the biggest parts of my day, is being able to get a sweat on and get a physical activity, a walk, a run, a weightlifting session. It doesn't matter. It has so much, like, there's so much science backed up behind it, is just psychologically and mentally, and you're happy and you feel satisfied, and it's the first thing you check off in the morning. You're already under one goal, is you worked out. So that's how I start my morning. And I'm a nutrition guru, actually. So eating healthy is something that I've taken up over the past 3 years, and I do it just by myself. I take pride in eating healthy. My friends think it's crazy, but it's something that I'm really kind of passionate about, actually. And it really helps me stay on track and carry over that greatness, not just in school or in an organization, but also to your body and what you're fueling it and how you're maintaining your body. So after that, reading has been a huge thing that I've taken up, and I always think about how if you're going to write a book, you're going to put all of your knowledge of your life into that book. And if you can sit down for a book, let's say a book takes you 10 hours to read, you just absorb that person's knowledge of their entire life in 10 hours. And if you take away 20% of that information, you are going to come out so much better than if you haven't read that book. Now, you don't need to read a book a day or 3 books a week or whatever. If you just start reading every day, 15 minutes before bed, you are going to see immense change that you will not even realize, and it'll just start building up, and you'll be better. You'll be a better communicator, a better leader. It'll just provide so much value to your life. So reading, eating healthy, exercising, and taking time to connect with your family has been a really big part. Being able to ask them for advice and support, and because going through high school is an ever-changing experience, and you can't do it alone. You just can't. And being able to have that support system, friends, family, guardian, coach, teachers, make sure you connect to an adult. They've been through it before, and they will definitely help you along the way.
Awesome. I love it. So many great habits. And I think all of us can just quickly evaluate ourselves. You roll back this recording and how am I doing with a routine? And I like how you said, some people are morning, some people are evening, and even through your life, that might change. I know in high school for me, I was a morning early riser. I was hitting it hard early in the morning. Now that I'm in a stage with family, with kids, evenings are where it's at. When I wrote my book, evenings. When I was doing my master's degree, late at night was my jam for that. So it might change throughout your life, but knowing where you thrive at that time is super important. So you think about, that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to check myself on all the habits that you just mentioned, Lucas, of where am I at nutrition? Where am I at with my family? Reading. I think there's a lot of gold there, and habits that it doesn't matter who you are or how old you are or where you're at. All of those habits can have an impact on your success. But then that leads into action as a leader. And there's habits we want to develop, but there's action that we just got to take. And when it comes to being a leader, taking action as a leader, if I were to ask you this, Lucas, what's your definition of leadership? What is leadership?
So leadership has been defined by many people in a variety of ways, and it's a very vague term, but I kind of chalk it up to being able to inspire others to achieve the best version of themselves. And so you don't necessarily have to be that boss or that coach or the team captain to be a leader. Of course not. You do not have to be in that position of authority. Does it help? Sometimes, yes, but just being able to provide motivation, inspiration to others is what I feel defines leadership.
Awesome. Man, I love that. That's powerful right there. Drop the mic. That's good. So that personal aspect of leadership, and then, you've had an opportunity to have leadership positions going in as the state president and chapter officer positions, but regardless if you have a position or not, how can, what would you say to a classmate? Doesn't necessarily have a position, but how could they be a leader? What action could they take to be a leader in their community, friend group, etc.?
Make sure you meet as many people as you can, and make sure you treat everyone the exact same. It doesn't matter what authority they have or who they are. If you value your time with them, and you truly listen, and you truly make a connection, and you share stories, and you build that relationship, that's truly what leadership kind of stems off of, that inspiration. That's kind of the backbone of that inspiration, is building those relationships. You don't have to be a boss or a state president to talk to someone, to have a conversation with someone. If you're just getting started, go meet people. Go find them on Instagram. Start chatting with them. Right now, we're Zooming right now. That's so easy to get in contact with people from across the country, across the world. This is a great opportunity for anyone to develop, not just as a leader, but as a person. And going into high school, you're meeting hundreds of new people in everything you do, whether that's in a new class you're taking, you go on a field trip, you have a sports day, anything like that. Talk to people, learn what they're about, learn how to communicate, have conversations. That will take you farther in your leadership journey than any concrete kind of tactic or strategy that you might find somewhere else.
Awesome. Great advice. Stretch yourself. do a little bit extra, meet people. Such a powerful thing. And I could say, like, if you flip the script, like if you think about, oh, I have to have a position to only talk to other people with positions, I can say, like, Lucas is going into a year with a high position. Lucas, I don't think throughout the year, the only people you want to talk to are people with positions, right? Like, you want to talk to anybody. It doesn't matter. A regular chapter member could, for anybody from any school, you would want to talk to them, right?
Yeah, in fact, you kind of get caught up in that hierarchy circle that you have at the top there with the high rollers of that organization or the high rollers of a team. But when you get down to it, the people that make up your membership delegation or make up your school or make up your team or your community for that matter, those are the people that really have the ideas. They are the ones that can spark change. They're the ones that you're trying to inspire. So what better people to talk to than the ones you're targeting? And like you said, do not allow yourself to get into that shaded mindset of, oh, they're not a president, they're not a chapter president, I'm not going to talk to them, I have better things to do with my time. No, you don't. The greatest thing you can do as a leader is make everyone else feel important around you. And if that's at a conference, spend as much time as you need talking to others. They will value it, they look up to you, it's a huge deal to them.
Awesome. Great advice for us out there. Great advice. Well, Lucas, what do you think? You know, I'm always talking about how to nix limits. What would you say a limit that you've had to nix that's helped you be successful?
A limit I've had to nix. So I was always one to kind of value other people's opinions very, very strongly. And that's a great thing to take feedback. I love constructive criticism. I love hearing what other people have. Sometimes that gets too much and it changes deep down what your passion in life truly is. And so being able to accept others' criticisms and ideas is a great thing to be able to do. And it's something I've had to work to do very hardly at over the course of my life. But there comes a point when you have to kind of think about yourself as a person, what you want to get out in life, what you want to accomplish. Do you want to go to college? Do you want to get a degree, a great job, have a great family? And being able to understand yourself and how you want to get there is a huge thing that I've tried to do. And so nixing the limit of letting others kind of determine kind of my path and kind of suggest me in certain ways that might not line up with who I want to be as a person. And so focusing on me has been a super big thing that I've tried to work on.
Awesome, man. That's super cool. And all of us can be able to learn from that. And I want to take this one step further. And now I'm going to put you to the test. You've talked about a limit you have nixed, but now I'm going to share with you one of the limit letters that I have gotten. And so a quick recap, if you're not familiar, I take these postcards around me all over with the country. When I talk about nix your limits to students, I have them write a limit that's holding them back on the back of this postcard. They leave it with me, and then they go on throughout their day, leaving that limit behind. And I bring these limit letters home with me, and I let them be motivators. I've got them hanging on the back of my door. But now I put every one of my podcast guests to the test. So I want to read you this limit. I want you to give some advice to the student. Does that sound good, Lucas?
Sounds great.
All right. So this one says, plain and simple, procrastination. All right, this student here is suffering from procrastination. That's holding them back. So what advice would you have for somebody going through procrastination?
So every student, I'm pretty sure at some point in their life has had this thought of procrastination, some more than others, definitely. But procrastination is something that you can control. Don't let procrastination control you. It's something that you don't have to let rule your school or education. I've never been a big procrastinator. I've always been one to get things done as soon as possible. I'm a big box checker, if that makes sense. I love to get things done off my plate so I can relax and kind of focus on what I want to do, have fun, little projects here and there. If I can get that work done as soon as possible, now don't rush and do a poor job at it. I'm not saying that because that's not good, but make sure to not put it off towards the end, because you're not going to be in your best state of mind if you're rushing in the last hour to finish an assignment or project. So make sure to get it done as soon as you can. And I'm a big work first, play second. So If it's an assignment, get it done right away. And I feel like if you do that, you'll see greater benefits across your life, across different multiple areas in your life, not just in that education part, because you'll have more time, you'll have more energy later in your day that you might just waste. Because when you're procrastinating, you're usually not doing something productive in that time. When you're procrastinating, you're usually binging a Netflix show or watching something on YouTube. You're not diving into deep work. That's not procrastination. That's multitasking there. You're not putting something off for a later time. So make sure you get it done right away and just get that off your plate so you can go have fun and live your life.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. Procrastination is something we can all overcome, and it just comes with planning. Oftentimes it's okay if you did it shortly before the due date, but was it planned to get done at that time, right? There's a difference. If you've procrastinated like, oh crap, I need to hurry and get this done, versus no, that's when I planned to get it done. And there's a huge difference between that. And you got to self-evaluate on that. But great advice there from Lucas. In that mindset of like, I'm going to do the extra, those habits of that routine, the nutrition, the reading, the connecting with people, and that action of leadership of connect with everyone, connect with people. Life is all people. There's so much gold from that, and in how we can all be able to stretch ourselves and achieve more and nix our limits. And so, Lucas, I really appreciate it. And that last phrase of mine is watch my results. I want to hear what do the next 5 years look like for you? Like, what are you trying to make happen? What are you trying to achieve? What results can we expect from you in your future?
Yeah, so FBLA, we're continuing, hopefully get another couple more leadership opportunities left in that throughout my high school. Go on to college, really kind of undecided on where I want to go into. So still looking to kind of fine tune those plans in terms of secondary education that way. But I don't know, really been a big leadership guru. And so I'm sure something like that will take hold later in life. So looking forward to it.
Awesome, my man. Well, thank you so much for spending some time with us today. I appreciate you, appreciate your words of wisdom, and I'm ready to see your results. But I'm also excited to see the results of everybody out there. So let us know your takeaways. Go out there, lean into everything that Lucas has shared, and get out there and nix your limits. And there you have it. Wasn't that awesome? Lucas is definitely someone you want to know, so make sure you go and connect with him on social media, connect with the Team Leader, subscribe to the Team Leader podcast, and be able to show that support, because he is definitely one that we want to learn from and somebody that you want to be able to connect with. And so I hope you found value. If you did or didn't, please let me know, right? We'd love for you to be able to go and leave a rating on the podcast app, purely just so that this message can help spread and our reach can grow, so we can keep doing this for more and more young student leaders. And so please go leave us a review, go comment on an Instagram post, or send a DM to Lucas of saying like, hey, I listened to your episode, appreciate it, heard this, heard that, any of that good stuff. And of course, you're always welcome to let me know as well. So thank you for tuning into this episode of the Student Leadership Podcast. I'll see you next week.